Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's me again. My name is Khalid bin Muhammad Ariff from Sekitar Synergy Sindiran Berhad of Johor Bahru, Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, I'm blessed with another day today into the 29th of Rabiul Awal 1442, and today is 15th of November 2020. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, all subscribers and viewers of this channel. I appreciate your presence so much, and I'm honored to be able to share this experience and a little knowledge of mine pertaining to various elements of in the environmental sciences and management. All right, before we go on, please, my Muslim counterparts, please do not watch this video if you are in a mosque on Friday and listening to the khutbah. Also, if you are attending any religious event, sessions, lessons, all right, please do not watch my video. Thank you very much. This particular video is another attempt of mine to discuss concerns of safety, health, and environment with respect to one of a rather common activity in industrial effluent treatment system, or we call it wastewater treatment, sewage treatment perhaps, all right, and or the end product of those treatment, if especially when they are biological treatment, or well, biological, probably aerobic treatment, or coagulation and flocculation of inorganics. When they have this sedimentation, you have sludge, and this sludge has got to be dewatered. To remove water, water will re-enter the treatment system again, and that sludge, being less in water content, would be much easier and less costly to handle, especially disposal. All right, the activity we are going to discuss is sludge dewatering. Let's take a look. I have a picture before you. This is a conventional filter press, okay? And remember, the filter press is an equipment. It is not a process. It is not an activity. The activity here is called dewatering, sludge dewatering, okay? So for this matter, this equipment itself, the entire setup, the entire physical being, the entire engineering material that constitute the build of this equipment is an environmental aspect itself. Okay, now our concern is, of course, safety first, but I beg your pardon, I am more of the environmental trainer. I don't do any more consultation and audit nowadays, so I'm doing training in applied environmental management and sciences. Okay, look, the sludge or sludges coming from IETS, or industrial effluent treatment system, or sewage treatment system, if any, would pass through this, would enter this equipment, and the entire membrane is stretched. It flows in, and once it has filled up the entire filter membranes, the entire compartment, it will then be pressed. Water will come out from the system, press water we call it, and those solid or dewatered sludge would remain at the membrane, the surface of the membrane of all these elements of the filter press. Okay, and then it will reopen it will expand itself again, and then we are hoping most of this sludge cake be dropped down to the bottom and be collected for further handling. Okay, nonetheless, some of these sludges, due to excess application of polymer coagulant in the coagulation tank, would result in most of this sludge being sticky due to the slimy character of those flocculant, or especially polyelectrolytes. Okay, that is another issue. Now, the concern for the environment in environmental management system is, remember, environmental management system is about managing environmental aspect. So one of the environmental aspect is sludge cake, and we have to manage these well, environmental aspects by fulfilling compliance obligation and addressing risk and opportunities. So that's our environmental management system. Now, why is the sludge cake an environmental aspect? Because it can interact, or it interacts with the environment. Why is the filter press equipment an environmental aspect? Because the construction to make this filter press involved an array of interactions with the environment. That's upstream life cycle perspective of the filter press. It is made from metal. It is made from polymers of petrochemical products. All right, plastic. All these are the materials that constitute this wonderful equipment called filter press. So the metals are made from metal fabricators, coming from metal ingots, coming from smelters, coming from ore, which is taken up from mining of metals, rock structures. All right, resource depletion would end up having those resources reduced. So the environmental impact upstream for the filter press is resource depletion. The same thing when we talk about the membrane. It is petrochemical based, crude oil, fossil fuel. The more demand for all this membrane, the more demand for crude oil, and the more demand for drilling, and the more resources are getting depleted. So that would be the environmental impact of this particular aspect, which is filter press. Right. We're not going to discuss that, but that is understood since we have discussed it. Now, I have mentioned just now the concern for this discussion is a sludge cake. One of the environmental aspects that comes out from this filter press is a sludge cake, and let's take a look. How does it affect safety? Now, take a look. This is a safety part. What would be the potential hazard? The sludge cake itself, the filter press itself is working under pressure, hydraulic press actually, and it is a strong pressing machine, and that fact of that it is working under high pressure of mechanical movement poses a potential hazard. The equipment itself is working under high pressure. It's similar to what you have scissor lift. It's hydraulic as well, and people may get injured if they by accident place their hand in between the frame of the membranes. Okay, and this equipment is working using electrical energy. So you got electrical circuit, all right, and they've got motor, etc. And also of interest to the environment is the fact that this sludge cake, or in fact the sludge that enter the filter press and the sludge cake that is being produced after the press, some of it are, in fact, most of it are chemical based. Remember, heavy metals, you've got inorganics, you've got perhaps cadmium, chromium, mercury, nickel, zinc, tin, etc. in the sludge, which has been flocculated, coagulated from the coagulation process. They are no longer in the water which is being released, but most of these impurities are in are embedded in the sludge cake. So that is another potential hazard for the chemical being of this sludge cake. Also, in some cases, some of the sludge cake are having biological content, especially microbial cells. Some of them are pathogenic, meaning can cause diseases or causing some initial stage, usually would be skin irritation. The toxins are being released, we can feel it on our skin. So these are potential hazards with regards to the operation of the sludge dewatering activity, the operation of the filter press, and the potential risks are as follows. The operator or the person working for this process can get injured, or he can suffer some skin irritation, which is a health effect over here, and he may be infected with pathogens, especially when he's handling biological sludges, and he can be sick due to that. And when he is sick, that would pose a relationship with environment, because maybe he has to be attended medically, and you got medical waste, and medical personnel has got to bring medical aid equipments, etc., and that will eventually be disposed as solid waste or medical waste, and would be incinerated and cause an interaction with the environment, causing air pollution, something like that. Okay, and in reverse manner, the sludge cake can also be affecting health. As far as the infection is concerned, it can cause health, and our friend may have some severe skin irritation due to contact with sludge, especially biological sludge, for example, and that may cause a problem. That with that irritation, he is discomfort uh, by that sensation, and he might not be able to perform the dewatering process or operate the filter press in a proper manner, and that would have lead to perhaps spillage. Probably, one example, spillage of sludge cake or raw sludge that would contaminate the environment. Then that would be an environmental impact associated to the improper handling of the filter press. Okay, so that's a simple link between the three main elements in processes: crucial, safety, health, and environment. Please, I'm not the safety health expert. If there's any deficiency, please, I apologize for that, but do add up. Please write it down in the comment column below. The next part, we'll take a look at the environmental management of this particular activity. We'll pick a few examples, a few environmental aspects for this discussion. So remember, environmental management system is about managing environmental aspects. How? By fulfilling compliance obligation and addressing risk and opportunities. And what are environmental aspects? They are anything which interact or can interact with the environment. That's it. Okay, so we got to manage the environmental aspect. So over here in ISO 14001, it's best for you to have a table of input-output analysis so that you don't miss out any environmental aspect coming from each activity in your organization, in your operation. All right, for example, in this particular case, we have, assuming we have done the input-output analysis, and we have found out that we have discovered one of the environmental aspects of concern is the sludge cake itself, which is what? Input or output? It is an output aspect from this particular activity. So what sort of environmental impact would it cause? We'll have to look at the downstream of its life cycle. This is called life cycle perspective. Downstream means what? The sludge cake, the root, okay? The root meaning what happened to the sludge cake next, all right? And in this case, normally the sludge cake, this is called downstream, okay? The sludge cake would eventually be handled and be disposed of to perhaps a secure landfill. And there you are. Over there, the sludge cake would interact with the environment, would degrade itself, that is interaction with the environment, and therefore forming some form of leach would eventually be leaching out from the secure landfill. Secure landfill is not 100% secure because the earth moves and there's vibration all over and eventually will crack, and this leach would eventually contaminate the soil underneath the what you call secure landfill base. So the problem has been shifted from this factory. The sludge cake is now being transferred to another site where the secure landfill is, and causes an interaction with the environment and causes what is called soil contamination on that site, in that site, not here. So I believe you know by now there's no absolute solution to pollution. We are just transforming pollutants from one form to another, or transferring pollutants from one place to another. That's it. Okay, so that is the environmental impact downstream. What else? In order to build the secure landfill, we have got to find a land, a valuable land space, and convert it into secure landfill. What does it mean? We are wasting the land area and convert it into secure landfill. Land is a valuable resource, natural resource. It has unique, it has its own state-of-the-art ecological being, inhabitants, and we just transform them into something which is not productive to human nor the environment. And also that leach would eventually cause, it will get down through the Mendoza zone into the aquifer probably, and causes groundwater pollution. That is sludge cake. Now let's take a look at slightly earlier than that. This is what? The sludge that is being generated from the industrial effluent treatment system, perhaps clarifier, or perhaps a coagulation chamber. That sludge comes from industrial releases, comes from industrial processes, and that sludge, before it becomes sludge, it comes from industrial processes, and they were once upon a time a raw material. So the input into this dewatering sludge as an input, the upstream, in order to determine its associated environmental impact, is to look at the upstream of sludge. This is input sludge. Since it is input, we'll look at the upstream of its life cycle. It comes from raw mat. It comes from material. natural resources. So the more demand for that raw mat, the more sludge we got, the more demand for raw mat, and the more demand for natural resources, the environmental impact, the interaction causes resource depletion, and how it has been extracted, probably involving earth structures, which causes eventually an environmental impact called geological damage. These are all the interactions upstream that produces sludge eventually, because they came from production. They were excuse me, they were raw materials, and these raw materials were initially coming from natural resources. Another environmental aspect of concern is the filter membrane. In this system is embedded over here. These are all elements containing filter membranes. When it is pressed, the sludge is being retained, water is let out through the membrane, and filter membrane is an environmental aspect. It does interact with the environment and cause environmental impact. How does it happen? Look, they are input aspect into this equation, and to determine its environmental impact, we got to look at its life cycle. Where? Upstream, because they are inputs. So upstream of filter membrane, they are made from petrochemical fibers. Petrochemical, crude oil and gas, remember? And the more demand for this fiber, the more dependent, or the more demand for crude oil, the more drilling will happen, and that causes an environmental impact called resource depletion, and thus also excuse me, causes geological damage of those bedrock structure. Got it? I try to do it snappy so that you don't get to sleep by the end of this video. And remember, environmental management system, we have got to address what? Risk and opportunities. Where I am from here, the sludge cake is a legal liability. It is called a scheduled waste in Malaysia, and we have got to conform to a stringent management and eventually disposal of all these waste materials, so-called waste material, and upon contravening those provisions under the law is associated with high penalty. Okay, and another risk is the operation of this equipment is consuming electrical energy a lot. A lot of power is needed. I'm not sure the power rating in kilowatt hour, but there's a lot of power needed, and we are paying energy just to press the sludge to form sludge cake, which is not 100% successful. As you know, if you have experience in dewatering using this equipment, you know what I mean. Okay, and also there's another risk. We end up having sticky, slimy sludge where we have got to rework the sludge. Normally, for my case, I would use calcium hydroxide or perhaps slaked lime to dewater, to facilitate dewatering and eventually bring it back into this filter press to get the cake. And this is due to excess use of coagulant, flocculant, especially the polymer type. So what's the associated opportunity that we could view or consider, all right, based on those risks? There you are. I would implore using renewable energy in this particular IETS operation, including sludge dewatering equipment such as filter press, such as belt press, all right, and many other types of there's some form of vertical canister to dislodge. There's so many types, and most of them are using electrical power. So why not we use renewable energy like solar, vertical, wind turbine, probably. You know, well, and for me, I would convert this so-called sludge cake or so-called toxic hazardous waste into a renewed product. I will discuss that one of these days with you. At the moment, try and understand this first. There's a lot of renewed products. But if you are in other parts of the world other than this country, you have done this, I know. You have converted the sludge into many other useful, renewed products. It depends on the policymakers. It depends on how rigid or flexible or how open or how environmental is the conscience of those people involved in governing. Okay, so it depends. I've got no comment on that, but hopefully one of these days the younger people would have a strong impetus when we talk about renewable energy, renewed product, recycling, reuse, recovery, and all this. And on top of that, there are some success stories as well with regards to biological sludge, especially those coming from sewage treatment plant. They were able to get enough calorific value in the sludge and were able successfully produce methane gas, biogas from sludges originating from biological process, including sewage treatment plant, including other biological process in the industrial sector. Such a success story. To all these people, I have high salute for you. I salute your work. I respect your achievement. Please continue with your success and please spread it around the globe so that many more people will benefit from the real understanding of the environmental matters, especially the environmental aspects definition, that we can convert most of this, I would say all of this so-called waste, into usable materials and products. Ultimately, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for your time. I hope this video would benefit you, or if you are already an expert, please share it. Please use it to complement your explanation, and please share it with other people whom you know need it. Thank you for your attention. As a Malaysian, I will wish you in bahasa Melayu, semoga dikurniakan kesenangan, keselamatan, kesejahteraan, kebahagiaan, dan kejayaan kehidupan dunia dan akhirat. You can get someone to translate that. So, thank you for your attention again. Until we meet in the next video, inshallah. I wish everybody, wherever you are, wherever you are, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.